And so the workers become very, very important. And from the moment we started, since we are looking at the church, let's just narrow it down to our church where we are. When we talk about the workforce here, where we are talking about those who work in the church. It ranges from the deacons, deaconesses, departmental heads, all the officials at their different level, even in the Sunday school, teachers, secretaries, and all other workers. These are the people that see to the success of the church. It gathers into itself even those who do a minor work like ushering people into the church. You may look at it as a very minor work, but it's very important. The ushers. So if we are talking about the workforce, we are talking about all the people that are involved in this work. All the people that are involved in this work. Even up to the pastor. The workforce include the ushers, the choir master and his officials, the Sunday school teacher, superintendent, secretary, and the officers, the men department, the president of the men, his vice, secretary, treasurer, and all other officers. The same thing applicable to the women and all other parts of the church that involve men or women to handle. They are the people that handle the affairs of the church. Without them, the church cannot work well. The church cannot work well. In my own thinking, I always think that the workforce is more important than the work. The workforce is more important than the work. Because if you remove the workforce, the work will lie. And there will be nobody to think about the work. In fact, permit me to say that there is no work without the workforce. No work without the workforce. But then before the workforce is raised, somebody must have talked about or must have dreamt about something to be done. There will be a dream. There will be something on the mind of somebody to do. And the person goes about looking for how to do it. And in looking for how to do it, he starts by looking for who knows this thing and can do it. The moment it has come to who knows this thing and can do it for me, he is thinking of the workforce. The financial aspect has been taken care of. The things to be done has been taken care of. All these were the dream that the person had. But this dream cannot be actualized until there are people to run with the dream. At the moment you start thinking of who will run with the dream, it is the workforce you are thinking about. The workforce. Let's come back again to the church system. In the church system, the church is God's own dream. Church is God's own dream. God dreamt of a church. He talked and thought and thought and thought about how to raise a church. And he knew that to raise a church, there will be money involved. So he knew how to raise the money. He knew that to raise a church, he will need a building. So he knew how and who to use to build that building. He also knew that to raise a church, he will need worship. And then he started thinking of who are going to be the worshipers and who will direct the worship. In raising a church, he thought of how to keep that church going. And so he started thinking of one of the basic work of the membership of the church. All these things boil down to looking for a working force that will carry out this work. So when we read, I want to point out something. He said, I must work the works of him that sent me. The work of him that sent me. That's the beginning of the workforce. He started gathering people whom he will send. Jesus started it by gathering his disciples. When he started gathering his disciples, without even letting them know, he was looking for what? The workforce. He started calling. Matthew, follow me. Peter, follow me. John, follow me. This one, follow me. And I will make you fishers of men. I will make you. I will make you. So he started looking for them everywhere, calling them. The first thing I want you and I to take here is the fact that we have been called into God's vineyard. You and I have been called, selected to do the work of God. That's why you are there in the church. Understand that first. That you have been called, you have been selected, you have been chosen to do a work somewhere. He who calls you specify the area where you can work. The question is, have you been called? If you have been called, in which area? To do what? Is the next question. You have been called to do what? There is a call unto salvation. We have all received that call. And then there's this specific call to do one kind of service or the other to the Lord. We have also received this calling by virtue of our salvation. Are you saved? Yes. If you are saved, that was enough for God to take you to heaven. He didn't, because he has something to do with you here on earth. So he kept you. Then he said, go and do this thing for me. go and do this thing for me. And whether reluctantly or voluntarily or by your own choice, you get yourself involved in doing that work. So you are there in that service. You are there in that service. Are you doing well? Are you doing the work that is there? Are you doing the work? Which area are you working for God? It's a serious question that bothers my mind. Anytime I think about the workforce, I think about which area of work am I doing for God? If I were not a pastor and I were a member, I would have been doing one work or the other for God. In fact, I was doing it when I was a member. How many of us are aware that there are those who just come to church, clap hands, and go back to their houses? And they know nothing about what goes on in the church. After they have come, clap hands and worship and go back. They are careless about anything going on after that. They don't know anything in addition to that. They do not also know that there is a work that needs to be done. They don't. They don't. Even when you make appeal, you call, you shout, they are not bothered. They don't respond. They don't answer. Why? I think that, number one, they have not been sent. They've not been sent. You know, the work of the church does not call for employment. You don't employ, God does not employ workers. He saves workers. God does not put advertisements for employment of workers. What God does is to save men and women. And once they are saved, they have been employed to do the work of God. God does not place advertisements for employment of workers. He saves workers. And once they are saved, they are a worker for God. The problem we have is how many of us are burdened for the work of the Lord? There are 5 characteristics of a genuine worker in the work of the Lord. Let me point this, and maybe pause and drop this mic. Maybe desire another opportunity to look at the workers. There are 5 characteristics of workers for God. If you look at the book of John, he said, "You didn't choose me, but I choose you. I choose you. And I ordain you." I choose you. I ordain you to do the work for me. And he said, "And that your work, you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain." Your fruit should remain. And that's a very wonderful talk. Very wonderful talk. It looks very simple, but it's not just a simple thing. Workers are selected, chosen by God, ordained by God. So the first characteristics of the workers is their salvation. Their salvation. They've been saved. They've been chosen. And they are ordained to bear fruits. Ordained to bear fruits. If you are not chosen by God, you can't do the work of God. If you are not chosen by God, you cannot do the work of God. You see people who are doing it and it looks very strange to you. Very strange. To you it is like, what is this one doing? Why is he doing all this? Look at John chapter 15. I want to carefully read something out there. John chapter 15, verse 16. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. One of the prayers I started praying as I started thinking about the workforce of the church is for men and women chosen by God to do the work of God. Men and women, young boys and young girls chosen by God to do the work of God. On Sunday, I was mad because I observed in the Sunday school that for some time now, it has been only Bra Abel that is calling the Sunday school names in all the classes. One single person. We call from this class, go to the next class, go, and all eyes are there looking at him, seeing him doing it all alone. All alone. So when we talk about the workforce, what are we talking about? We are talking about people who should do this work. And they are not there. They are not there. You come to the Tuesday Bible class, you won't see people. You come to the preparatory class, you won't see people. You come to, in fact, there are those who wait until after the Sunday school before they come to church. So the work is lying, dying. The person who is single-handedly calling about 5 classes or 6 classes can make mistakes. Because what a secretary is meant to do is to call the name of a class. That's the policy of the Sunday school. And he must not be a teacher. He must not be the teacher of the class, While the teacher teaches, when there is time for roll call, the secretary that is going to call the roll call comes in. The teacher step aside. As he step aside, he comes in and do his normal this thing before the roll call. Those who have their memory verse, have their Bible, have their offering, you must know all this. The person answering the name tell you all this. And there's a column for all this. When one person is doing the whole work, will he take time to do all this? No. So series of mistakes occur. Series of mistakes occur. The problem is not that we don't have people. The problem is that we don't have the working force. We don't have. So our prayer, our duty, our heart desire is that the Lord will raise a working force for this church. And there must be men chosen by God, ordained by God, to bear fruits, to do work for the Lord. The second characteristics of this man, apart from being ordained, chosen, and sent to do this work, is that they must be burdened for the work. They have the burden for the work. You can't do well until you are burdened for that work you are doing. No, you can't do well. Any day I preach effective message, just understand that that day I carry a burden. I carry a burden. And I'm looking for how to offset that burden. Our problem today is that we don't have men that are carrying the burden for the work of God. They are not there. So anything goes. Nehemiah just heard of what was happening at home. And he was so burdened that he stood before his master. Very sad, with a very sad countenance. For the first time. And the man was disturbed. Say, I've not seen you in this mood before. What happened? And he said, why wouldn't I be like this? When the place where my parents were buried is